Well, hello there. I don't suppose you're the special guest I've been waiting for. Well then, I guess you don't want to hear from me, do ya? Let me get the one you want to hear. Oh, hello. You're the one who called me, huh? Well, good. Well, let me tell you a story then. If you didn't know, I'm a big fan of the Five Nights at Freddy's series. Now, I wouldn't play the games back then, but I did enjoy all the fan content that came along with the games. About 10 years ago, though, a book for the series came out, and another, and I was like, whoa, that's so cool that they have books now. Wait, I've just been hit with the most incredulous idea. These are exact words. Totally. Anyways, well, if they can make a book, then so can I! And so I got to work spending afternoons and early mornings forging and constructing the most grand and incredible, most masterful piece of media ever to be! Something pretty okay. And don't get me wrong, it was good for what a third grader at the time could make, but reading it nowadays, it's painful. But the story continues. Now this first book wasn't enough for me. I needed to write more. And so I wrote a sequel in 4th grade, a quick pause, and back at it with a threequel in 6th, and a quadriquel. Though by that point I had decided, dang, this is short. I ought to make each of these books into sections of this big book, The Chronicles, which is the current name of the novel. And so I made more sections. In 7th grade I even switched main characters to focus on a different part of the story. Then finally, in 8th, I added an origin story and a post-story story. And I was done. It's quite a story, isn't it? Though it's only the origins of the novel. Why don't we look at the novel itself? I'll break it down into eras of the novel, starting off with sections 1 and 2. The originals. These were quite okay, impressive writing at the time of making, but there are some big bads with these, such as over-explaining. Here's a direct quote from the first chapter in section 1. Mike was a kid who loved wearing black. He had sort of messy hair that looked black, but it was just a very dark brown. His eyes were hazel and he wore a black coat, black pants, and black shoes. Now, yes, this does allow us to vividly imagine Mike, the main character, but when it's in this scale, it's too much. Sometimes, especially with human characters, vagueness is good for letting the readers fill in the blanks. Oh, and now that we're getting into the novel, let me introduce my cuter counterpart. I'll use him and many others to show the robots or animatronics in this novel. Back to what I was saying. Now, viewers, let me offer up a situation. The sister of the main character, who went missing for 7 months, has just found him in a storage room in a bloodied mascot suit. And she's talking to him, face to face for the first time in 7 months. How would they interact? Perhaps something like, "Oh my goodness, are you okay?" "Yeah, I'm fine." But no, their interaction in the novel is,
"Leela, it's me.
What?
It's me, Mike."
Oh no, they got you.
Seriously, it doesn't seem like they care for each other at all. Oh, next up is sections 3 and 4. I absolutely despise these. They have everything wrong, from over-explaining to a freaking hike to Utah from South Dakota. And I want to stress this point. The main character, Mike, takes a hike in a robot suit to Utah because his sister, back from the dead, also in a robot suit, tells him to go there. You may ask, why? Why would she want the main character to go there? The answer is there is no reason. Not only that, there is no reason nor hint to why the sister even knows about the place she sends her brother off to. I don't know what I was on back when I wrote these. Finally, main character Mike dies by the hand of his college roommate in a robot suit. Help! Help! Vengeance has been served. Anyways, next up, The Smiling Chronicles. With the old main character dead, I was left with no choice but to switch up the main character. Now, a girl named Caroline, who's related to Mike. These sections are actually quite good. The over-explaining is now at a minimum, and the characters have feelings? The story also got quite dark, with its theme and setting. And characters got some development. All of these good things were absent from sections 1 through 4. Also, I made an actually threatening character, the Smiler, a killer who is the main villain in most of these sections. I mean, look at this mask. Imagine this being the last thing you see. Though I do have a massive gripe with the ending. What I intended was to make it seem like the new main character was the writer of the novel itself, which was quite cool to me and only me. It led to a disappointing ending. And finally, Origins and Aftermath. Origins is pretty good, a well-written story, and the beginning of everything to do with the story. It's not the most relevant though, except the ending. As for Aftermath, it's edgy. Decent writing, but really edgy, and I can't help but cringe at the dumb story. The conversations are really lacking and sound very unnatural. That brings us to the end of our time together. I hope you enjoyed. You didn't enjoy it? Fine. Sicko.